Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, it's really more than just a book. I like to think of it as a mirror, one that's designed to show us how we actually see the world, how we handle things like effort, how we bounce back from failure, and what success even means to us. So in this explainer, we're going to walk through her amazing framework for unlocking our potential really in every part of our lives.
So let's just jump right in with the big question that Dweck puts on the table. And it sounds so simple at first, right? What really makes someone successful? I mean, is it just pure raw talent? Are some people just born smarter? Or is there something else going on, something deeper?
Well, Dweck argues that the answer to that question, it all comes down to our mindset. And what is a mindset? It's basically the set of beliefs we have about our own abilities. And the crazy part is, these beliefs, they quietly shape everything. Our behavior, the choices we make, and, our ability to get back up when we get knocked down.
Okay, so Dweck basically splits everyone into two big groups based on their mindset. On one side, you've got the fixed mindset. This is the idea that your abilities are what they are, they're kind of carved in stone. Then you've got the growth mindset, which is the belief that you can grow your abilities through effort and learning. And look, this isn't just some interesting psychological quirk. Dweck says it's everything. It's the difference between seeing your life as a constant test, a proving ground, or as a playground for growth.
All right, so let's get into the power of this belief. In her research, Dweck stumbled upon something really fascinating. She was looking at how kids deal with failure, and what she saw was that some kids would just fall apart after one tiny mistake, but others, they actually seemed energized by it. They got curious, they wanted to try again, and the kicker was it had nothing to do with how smart they were. The difference was what they believed. And this idea is summed up perfectly in this quote from Dweck, "Becoming is better than being." I mean, that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? If you have a fixed mindset, you're always trying to prove yourself, always looking for validation. But if you've got a growth mindset, you're not looking to prove, you're looking to improve. You're all about development. This whole idea really makes you look at your own life, at how you react to things, and you start to see the invisible scripts that are running in the background. And this difference in what motivates you, it changes everything. For someone with a fixed mindset, having to try hard feels like a red flag. It's like, oh no, if I have to work at this, I must not be smart. It's a threat to their identity. But for someone with a growth mindset, effort is the whole point. It's the only way you get smarter and stronger. It's literally how you grow. Okay, and this leads to a super important takeaway, especially for parents or teachers or anyone who leads a team. We think we're helping when we say, wow, you're so smart. But Dweck's research shows that can actually backfire. It reinforces that fixed mindset and makes kids terrified of doing anything that might make them look not so smart. But if you praise the effort, saying something like, I love how you stuck with that problem, that's what builds real resilience and makes them want to learn more. This brings us to a really powerful idea Dweck calls the talent trap. See, we all love the story of the natural genius, right? Mozart just scribbling down symphonies, Michael Jordan just born to fly. But Dweck kind of pulls back the curtain and shows us the insane amount of work they all put in. The trap is, when we believe talent is just this thing you have, the people who are considered gifted become terrified of failure. A tough challenge isn't a chance to learn, it's a risk of being exposed. So what happens? They plateau. They stop growing because they're too busy protecting their gift. But the reality, it's way simpler, and honestly, way more empowering. Even geniuses have to work their tails off. Okay, so we've got the theory down. Now let's take these ideas out of the lab and see how they play out in the real world. We're talking sports, business, and yeah, even in our relationships. First up, let's look at the world of sports. I mean, what's the real difference between a good athlete and a true champion? What's going on in their head when everything is on the line? You can see it so clearly when the pressure is on. An athlete with a fixed mindset might just crumble after a mistake, because to them, losing feels like proof they don't have it. But an athlete with a growth mindset, they actually thrive on that stuff. A loss isn't a final judgment, it's just feedback. It's information. It really shows you that champions aren't born, they're built. And their biggest competition really is their own potential. All right, let's switch gears from the playing field to the boardroom, because a leader's mindset doesn't just affect them. It can shape the entire culture of a company. Dweck points to the collapse of Enron as this perfect storm of a toxic talent mindset. It was a culture obsessed with hiring geniuses, which led to all this arrogance and secrecy, and, well, we all know how that ended. And the difference between leadership styles is it's night and day. A leader with a fixed mindset often creates this culture of fear. Nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to admit they made a mistake. But a growth mindset leader? They want to be challenged. They see their job as helping everyone else grow. And that's how you get a culture of transparency and real innovation. But look, this isn't just about work or sports. This mindset stuff deeply affects our personal lives too. Let's talk about love, because how we handle the bumps in the road in our relationships has everything to do with our mindset. Think about it. For someone with a fixed mindset, a simple argument can feel like a total disaster, a judgment on them or on the entire relationship. But for a partner with a growth mindset, that same argument is an opportunity. It's a chance to understand each other more deeply and to grow together. I love this idea that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to evolve.
Okay, so if these mindsets have so much power, where do they even come from? More importantly, can we help others develop a growth mindset? Absolutely. This next part is a really practical guide for all the parents, teachers, and coaches listening.
The advice here is so simple but so powerful. First, praise the effort, not the talent. Instead of "you're so smart," try "you worked so hard." Second, make it clear that struggling is normal. It's part of learning. And maybe the biggest one, you have to model it yourself. Show that you're curious and that you love a good challenge. Every single word you use can either be a bridge to growth or a wall. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. What if you're listening to this and thinking, uh-oh, I think I have a fixed mindset? Well, the best news is this. Mindsets are not set in stone. You absolutely can change them. Dweck actually lays out a pretty clear path to do it. It's 3 steps. First, just recognize it. Start paying attention to that fixed mindset voice in your head. What triggers it? Second, reframe. Make a conscious choice to see a challenge as an opportunity instead of a threat. And finally, step 3 is to practice. Just take action. Do the things a growth mindset person would do, and remember to be kind to yourself while you're learning. And really, that's the most powerful message here. Growth isn't something you either have or you don't. It is a choice you get to make over and over again. It's choosing curiosity over certainty and choosing the freedom to learn over the fear of failing. So, no matter who you are, a leader, a parent, a student, a partner, the ideas in this book give you a whole new way to see the world, and more importantly, to see yourself. It all boils down to this one powerful truth from Dweck herself. The view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life.